What's on YouTube? It's PTT back at it with another Destiny 2 video. Today I bring you a video in response to recent tweets by Christopher Barrett, game director at Bungie. Now he tweeted, "What would you most like to see in the first expansion?" And if you go to the tweet, links as always in the description down below, you will see a lot of replies with fantastic ideas of what should and quite possibly might come in future expansions for Destiny 2. However, as I've said in recent videos, just saying to Bungie, change this and change that, isn't the most constructive way to try and change things. What I mean here is saying make strikes more meaningful isn't helpful. Saying make strikes more meaningful by adding strike-specific loot is helpful. That's why, with my recent Xur changes video and the Legendary Shard changes video, I tried to give constructive feedback and ideas on how to actually implement the changes we as a community desire. So to that effect, in this video I'm going to be talking about weapon mods, so without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So weapon mods, I think we can all agree, they're very underwhelming and they're not at all what we as a community envisioned when Bungie spoke about weapon mods after the Destiny 2 reveal. So for clarity's sake, let's quickly look at the modification system that's in game right now. It's very basic because all you can do is add a kinetic mod to the kinetic weapons. You can add elemental mods to energy and power weapons, and that's it. Sure, you have the ability to change an energy and power weapon from one element to another, but outside of this, there's nothing at all, and that to me is very disappointing. Now, I envisioned, along with many others I'm sure, a far more in-depth system. And one that I'm actually going to talk about now, guys, because the fix for this, that's in my head at least, could potentially also solve some other problems we all have with fixed rolls on weapons and a lack of endgame grind. So, in Destiny 2, or a future update of Destiny 2, I would like to see a system of modifying weapons that kept the current elemental and kinetic mod system, but added in the ability to acquire perk modifications that could be added to a weapon either in addition to a weapon perk that we already have available, or replace them entirely. What do I mean by this? Well, currently in-game, all weapons have fixed roll perks. What if we could buy, or, and this is kind of cheeky, craft specific weapon modifications to change our weapon? An example of this would be you like the Call to Serve Scout Rifle because it looks good and has some great perks like triple tap, but you also like your Nameless Midnight because of the explosive payload perk. What if, and I'm going to present several options now, so bear with me. Option number one, the final perk on all weapons are removed and replaced with a slot that you could apply any perk modification to. This would mean that all perks in game would become available as a legendary mod form and could be applied to any weapon, i.e. explosive payload from the Nameless Midnight would be removed, but it would be replaced with a blank perk slot that you could apply any modification to. This would mean perks like triple tap, kill clip, rampage, dragonfly, and of course the list goes on, could be applied to any weapon. Now this would not only give more diversity in the form of what weapons you want to use, but also give players the ability to say, okay, I like the Conspirator Scout Rifle from the raid, but I don't like the Dragonfly perk that it currently drops with. I want to run triple tap on that Scout Rifle, and boom. You swap the mods over, and now you have a Dragonfly with triple tap instead. Now, I'm very well aware that this could potentially cause some balancing issues, and Bungie may have to say, okay, some mods can be put on certain types of weapons and not others, i.e. triple tap can go on scout rifles only and not SMGs, but this would still give us a little more diversity and make for a more meaningful and in-depth system, albeit a small one. Now, option two, all weapons keep the final perks they have, but are able to be bolstered with an extra perk. Now this option could potentially be a little bit more problematic and require a more scrutinous system of only allowing certain perks to transfer between certain weapon types, but again, could also allow for a bit of diversity. I mean, imagine a Nameless Midnight with explosive payload and rampage. Now, as always guys, these are only my ideas. I would of course love to know your thoughts as always in the comment section down below, because constructive ideas for Bungie are far more important than negative ones, and while our ideas might never actually make it into the game, someone at Bungie may watch this and it may trigger an idea in their head, and you know, eventually we get something good just from the discussion. Now moving on, I said earlier that a more in-depth system could allow for more diversity, but also fix other issues the community has, so let's look at that now. If perk mods did come into the game, this could be something that we could purchase with legendary shards, giving us something meaningful to spend these on. They could also be added to Xur's inventory, again giving Xur more meaning. And as for the fixed weapon rolls, well, let's actually take a look at that a little bit more in depth. Currently, weapons in Destiny 2 have fixed rolls, meaning the first drop of a weapon will be exactly the same as the 10th drop of that weapon. Now, along with the idea I mentioned earlier about having perk mods, what if we had encounter-specific weapon mods too? This would allow, again, for more diversity, because you could have two of the same weapon but change the final mods on them, and it would give you more meaning to endgame modes such as the raid and trials. What do I mean by this? Well, imagine weapon perk mods dropping from the raids that in a similar fashion to Destiny 1 granted bonuses for that particular raid or, activity. So currently we only have the Leviathan raid. So a mod that increased damage against Cabal, or a mod that increases the reload of a weapon when surrounded by 3 or more Cabal, or increased magazine size on killing a Cabal and then reloading. The list could be endless, guys, and could allow Bungie to get a tad creative, because again, similar to, raid specific perks in Destiny 1, the weapon mods dropped in the raid would be pointless anywhere else in the game, but would be very good in that particular activity. This could also help solve the people's issue with raid gear having no specific raid perks, and the same for trials and strikes and things like that. This could then be carried into trials mods, strike mods, open world weapon mods. With a system more in-depth, Bungie really could get creative and give people something to chase and grind for to make certain encounters easier. Now, I also see this working in a way where, again, multiple weapons would then become meaningful. I mean, currently when you have one of a certain weapon, there isn't really any reason to have more than one. But imagine having 2 Uriel's gifts. One of them, obviously, with high cal rounds, as it does now. This would be a more PvP-focused mod on it. But because you can swap them round, you can add a more PvE-focused mod. This, again, would allow for some more diversity, because it would mean that the weapon, at the player's discretion, could also be changed up for PvE and PvP on the fly very easily, and it would just change things up, and it would be pretty cool. And yeah, guys, I think that about actually wraps up my ideas for weapon mods. I could carry on rambling about my ideas for possible mods to add into the game, allowing kind of a creative mind to go wild. But for now, let's actually try to focus on ideas of how to make things in-game that are currently meaningless into something we all care about, and then build off of that in the future. So again, I urge you guys, if you love Destiny like I do, and you've stuck by Bungie over the years when they've made some bad decisions or they've needed to improve something, get typing, let me know your response to my ideas. Let me know any of your ideas on this particular issue. Everyone's got their own ideas as well as agreeing with other people, so let me know that. Drop a like on the video if you did indeed like it. Share it about. The more comments and discussion we get going, then the more ideas Bungie could potentially go through if they're actually watching this. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for daily Destiny content. But for now, Guardians, that has been me. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll catch you in the next one.